not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. I see two pictures when I contemplate this passage. The first is a picture of the anxiety and the frustration on the part of the disciples. So let's consider what's going on here. These words that we heard this morning are from what is called the farewell discourse of Jesus. It's taking place at the Last Supper. Judas has just gone out to do the work that Satan has called on him to do. And Jesus has just said to his disciples, "Little children, I am with you only a little longer." So he's told them that he's leaving, and that's a cause for anxiety. They are running out of time, and they still don't understand. They don't understand his message that Jesus is the eternal presence of God. They're running out of time. And that is the cause for frustration. "Lord, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way?" And they say, "Lord, show us the Father and we will be satisfied." What a sound of frustration. And frustration in the face of anxiety is a very bad combination. When you're frustrated, you can't work through your anxiety. And when you're anxious, you can't do anything about your frustration. Now, the second picture that I see is the tenderness with which Jesus speaks to them. Tenderness. Do not let your hearts be troubled. In the Gospel of John, I often find that Jesus sounds very imperious. And that often puts me off in the Gospel of John. But not here. Not here. Listen to how he addresses them. He talks to them in the tender reaching out tone and form of questions. "If it were not so," he says, "would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? Or how can you say, 'Show us the Father'? And finally, do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me?" The compassion that I hear in the voice of Jesus, the compassion, it stirs me to ache with compassion for those disciples. I feel their feelings. And I also feel the love of Jesus as he comforts them. And may I say on this Mother's Day that it is a very motherly sort of love that is apparent here. He speaks to them as a mother would speak to a child. And for them, it is that they have followed him. When they followed him, they took one small step for a man, and then they took many steps. And now, for them, it looks like they have been led to the edge of a cliff. Could it be the end of the road? If they ever had an idea where they were going, they have no idea right now. And when I look ahead during and the time during and then finally after this pandemic, it looks to me just like empty space, just like empty space. It's not a question of just how long before we can get our lives back, but what if life as we knew it will never be back? And much as we think about our church life, in the back of our minds, we all know that it's not going to be life as we knew it. And so, of course, we try to put all of that out of our minds. That's how anxiety works, the fear that has no known cause. And it reminds me of a time that I was literally on the edge of a cliff. When I hiked the 4,000-foot peaks in New Hampshire, I did not do it alone. I had a friend with me, my friend Jane. Jane and I researched our trips, our trails very carefully. But for some reason, we decided to hike down Mount Washington through Tuckerman's Ravine. For those of you who don't know it, it is a 1,000-foot vertical drop. And there is a stairway cut into the rocks that goes down one side. And our task was to walk down that stairway. And I had a full-blown panic attack at the top of the stairs. I just sat down and decided that I was never going to go up or down. I would just sit there for the rest of my life, and I sobbed. Now, Jane, my friend Jane, is a wild and crazy gal. I call her the Johnny Appleseed of fun. I would politely describe her as spontaneous, but that's really just another way of saying that she is totally unpredictable. But in that moment, as I sat there, I saw my friend Jane change and turn into the well-trained flight attendant that she had been before she was married. And she took over. And she said, now, Celeste, no, look, don't look out. Celeste, turn to your right. Turn to your right. Look at the rocks. Look at the rocks. Don't look out. Turn to your right. Now put your right foot down. Okay, now turn to your left. Put your left foot. No, don't look out. Look at the rocks. And she talked me all the way down. Now, this is the kind of thing that happens when we don't know where we are going. We do anything we can to grasp at control. How many of you, if you're lost, whether you're walking or driving, how many of you, if you're lost, start to walk faster? Have you ever noticed that? That's an effort to have control, not necessarily in your best interest. And for me, sitting down and staying put with what I knew, the security of sitting on that step, that was my effort to have control and to avoid the empty space that frightened me. But the good news is that we can choose to hand over control to God. We can make that choice. The one who loves us like a mother. And this is not, I'm not urging you to just an intellectual proposition. There's a lot of intellectual propositions in the book of John. This is not something that I want you to ponder as some idea. This choice to rest in the love of God, is something that you just do and you just let it happen. The psalmist prays today, be my strong rock, a castle to keep me safe. For you are my crag and my stronghold. For the sake of your name, lead me and guide me. Just look at the rocks. Just look at the rocks, Celeste. And you will be able to say, into your hands I commend my spirit, for you have redeemed me, O Lord, O God of truth. Amen.